Well, guys, we are back to you with another beer review. And today, I'm using my Snowflake Jack Daniels glass because it is snowing again for the third time this week. I think every beer review I've posted so far in the last 7 days, I've mentioned that it's been snowing and I've been drinking a stout most likely. Yeah, I mean, both the last reviews were a stout or a barley wine. We're going to break it up and we're going to do an IPA today. And I'm not trying to do the same beer style over and over and over. I just have happened to be drinking a little bit more stouts lately. I am hopefully going to be doing some more stuff, even more than just like stouts and IPAs. Because people want to see more than just what I'm more partial to drinking. I probably should have stuck the can up prior to pouring this. We have Eject MindCapsule Super Saturated Double IPA with Citra Incognito, Citra Cryo, Citra, and Nectron. This is a hazy double IPA. This is 10% alcohol. It's just like taking a superhero dose of hops to the dome. Literally says that. I'll do a quick read over this. Since the inception of the American IPA brewing, there's been a constant effort to achieve maximum saturation of flavor, which is pretty much exactly what New Image's idea was for these, which is why they're called super saturated double IPA. With this evolving series, we produce super saturated IPAs by a combination of novel hop products such as Citra, cryo pellets, and supercritical hop extracts, along with our ever-advancing techniques for hop addition and extraction. This beer goes beyond every boundary we've ever had for an IPA, and it's safe to say that New Image has been one of the ones in Colorado that's consistently pushing the boundaries with IPAs. You have places like WeldWorks, Cerebral, Outer Range, who are brewing phenomenal IPAs, but nobody's, I think, really pushing the boundary of what an IPA can be, and the ingredients and the different things used within the IPA, other than New Image. New Image seems to be the only one that's actually out there doing some really interesting stuff. So let's give it a shot. Smell is phenomenal. And it's because of all the hops that's in the beer and all of the um, the cryo and the oils that are put in this, like the Citra Incognito, the cryo Citra, is great. And I tell people all the time, I love Citra, but Citra has to be used correctly because Citra can have some of those off flavors that people don't like. And this is a phenomenal use of Citra. It's just so heavy. There's just so much. And it hits you, on that sweeter side when you first take a sip, and then you just get all of that hop. And you even get a little bit of bittering on the back end, which I do enjoy. When you're drinking an IPA, you expect it to be a little bit better. And even when you're drinking a hazy IPA, you can have something that's pillowy soft, but because of the hops and how many hops are used to brew most of these beers, you're going to get a little bit of bitterness. It's crazy because these beers are so drinkable at the ABV. And again, New Image is one of the only breweries I know who can do that. I've had a handful from WeldWorks. I've had a handful from Cerebral. I've even had a handful from Outer Range. Outer Range has put out some hazy triple IPAs that were so drinkable, like water. And this is pretty much exactly that. I think when you're bordering that 10% alcohol range, you could almost effectively call this a triple IPA, because most breweries who are brewing triple IPAs are going to be between that 9-10% range, with having let's say like Cerebral or Outer Range could be an outlier where they do have some that are 11% or higher. Normally, you don't see a hazy double IPA bordering that 10% range. I see them, in the 9.5% range, and that's high for a hazy double IPA. So for something to be touching 10%, to be this smooth and this drinkable while having the amount of hops that's packed into it, it's a phenomenal product. This is something that if you're looking to get into IPAs and you're scared of drinking IPAs, grab something from New Image because the beers are so friendly to the average palate. Of course, like I said, it's very hop heavy, but they're producing phenomenal flavors with these hops. You're not just drinking some piney IPA, you're drinking something that's got a lot of very creative, fruity flavors, a lot of tropical notes. Stuff that the average beer drinker, who's not a fan of IPAs, might try this or another hazy from New Image and think like, wow, this is very good. I've had that exact experience before where I've had somebody who was a non-hazy IPA drinker drink something, again, from kind of like one of the breweries I mentioned, whether it was like a Cerebral or a New Image or an Outer Range, and get very turned on to IPAs. And I've got friends now who almost exclusively drink hazy IPAs because I got them into drinking them. Funny enough, my wife even mostly drinks hazies between like pale ales and IPAs. A big fan of Odell. And I can think of a handful of friends I know that I turned on to Weldworks and Outer Range because of the distribution that we're getting here. New Image, surprisingly, even though we've been getting their distribution for a very long time and we get majority of what they put out, if it releases at the tap room, you could bet we're probably going to get it at liquor stores here in Colorado Springs. I still feel like New Image is, for some reason, it's overlooked. Because I mentioned New Image to friends who are, they're like, I, got a 4-pack of hazy from Outer Range, or friends that are maybe new to Colorado and they're out there drinking like Juicy Bits or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with those beers, but they go to the liquor store, they want a hazy, and they just kind of grab that. I don't know why places like New Image and some of the Cerebral beers get a little bit overlooked, because they are popular in Colorado, and they are some of the better or two of the best breweries in the state. If we're talking about personal opinions aside, I think that you could definitely say New Image, Cerebral, Weldworks, Outer Range are easily some of the best breweries in the state. If not, like the Denver metro area, they're probably in the top 10 at least. So got to give it to New Image, putting out very, very consistent beers, whether they're IPAs, whether they're lagers, whether they're sours, whether they're stouts. They just are consistently putting out very, very good beer. If I had to give this a rating, which of course we're giving all these a rating, and I've been scoring high lately because I've been liking a lot of the beer that I've been drinking. In fact, like last night I had an AleSmith barrel aged Speedway Stout 2023. So it's just their base stout that's barrel aged with coffee. And it was so good. It was so much better than I expected it to be. And I'm pretty sure I rated that beer like a 4.25 on Untappd, like an 8.5. And the stout I drank before that was a 9. I'm going to give this a pretty high rating because it deserves it. There's a couple things that would make me like this beer a little bit more. And so for what it is, I'm going to give this an 8.5. I think that the one thing that I don't love, and I hate to say that, I didn't want to say I don't love, because I do like it, I just don't love it, is because of the ABV, it does have a little bit of sweetness to it. It's very, very thick and kind of velvety. And, so you get a little bit of sweetness kind of coming on that front end, which then the hops cut through, so it's not like a very lasting sweetness, but it is definitely there. This is an 8.5 all day. That's what I'm going to rate it on Untappd when we're done here. And I appreciate you guys watching. Any questions? Looking for or want to know where to find beers like this, beer recommendations, shoot me a message and I'd love to help you guys out. Have a great one.